Oh,
closed it.
This one, eh?
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
you just open it like the full window.
Okay.
Then those 3 dots start recording. Below.
Oh, is it already recording? Okay,
I
great.
think so.
You are being recorded, yeah? All right, so it is really good for us to try out those things, because as we go through the materials, we shall be building on top of the table. So that's why I really urge you to, I know it's a lot of work, but I kindly request you to always try them out, because if you don't try them out, as you know, development is about trying out things. If you look at them, they seem to be easy. But once you try them out, that's when you get all sorts of errors. So I don't know whether I should go.
Emmanuel,
Yes,
I have a
please.
question.
Yes.
3 of us got that error, but we don't know where it comes from. Will the solution always be reinstalling everything?
No.
The license is not valid information. The license information is not valid error. You get it, you try every solution, it doesn't work.
There is a solution of saving the license in the table that I had shared with Grace. I don't know, was it Grace?
Saving the license in the database.
There's somebody who asked me, and I told them to save the license in the database.
Yeah, I tried it also, it didn't work.
Okay,
the
but
one of alter database.
Yes, yes.
It didn't work.
Okay.
Emmanuel got it, I got it, and also Lambert.
So what are we going to do now?
And after reinstalling, it goes away. I think it's the only solution.
But reinstalling is not the best solution. However, if it worked for you, for now we can go with that, but there is a better solution. Although there's a better solution probably along the way as we interact with now, we shall be in position to figure out how to resolve such errors. So are you in position to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I don't know which work I should use. I want us to review somebody's work together. Grace, should I import yours? Did you finish all the assignments? Okay, let me import Grace's work. Do we have the FOB? Did you send via Teams? Okay. So we are going to review this together. When you executed the other table, 50,000 was it 001 or 002? Did you get the sum and other things? Were they being calculated very well? Okay. I'm also asking the people online as well.
Yeah, they were showing before.
So are you saying how I import objects? Oh, sorry. It developed in 2018, yeah? Okay. Okay. I don't know whether I have 2018 installed here. Anyway, I think we shall review the work maybe next time when I have my 2018 installed on my computer. It might take some good time, and I don't want us to delay. Today we are going to be looking at pages. And now, for those who didn't finish the work, I'm going to pile more work on your desk, because even today we are going to have some work that we shall be doing. So for these 3 weeks, just expect too much work, but after the 3 weeks, then we shall be fine. Yeah. Just spare some time. It may require you to work late in the night, but I kindly request you to just put in that time. It will pay off later on. Once you understand this, even the tasks you will get will be easier to do. You will do tasks in less than, in 2 minutes, and you always leave office by 5 with no tasks on your desk. So just ensure that you practice and try out these things. I don't know. I'm just trying to dive out. Okay. So yesterday we managed to look at tables. Did you manage to read through the 2 PDFs I shared with you?
Yes.
So who can tell us how many fields can we have in a primary key?
20.
Can have 20. Then what is the secondary key? Yes, but by the way, for people like us, there are no wrong answers. Wrong answers are in primary work, but no, that's going to be wrong answers, isn't it? Maybe they are not stated well, but they are not wrong. Okay. So who knows the function of the set current key function? I know there is somewhere where we had something like set current key. What does it do? Did you see that in the PDFs? Really? Let me just try to open the PDFs and see. Set current key. Okay. I reached there. All right, so today we are going to look at pages. Yesterday we had a brief introduction about pages. And right now, I think you know the function of a page. The page is used to view, edit, and modify information. Pages, yesterday we looked at the tables, so today we are going to go to this next part of pages. So pages, for example, I have the customer list and the customer card. We shall look at the differences of these pages. So to start with, if I look at a page like the customer card, and I design this page, pages like tables have properties. So people online, you may want to mute the microphone on your side, then you will unmute once you have any queries, so that we don't get feedback. So pages like tables have properties. So these things are like the same things we looked at yesterday in relation to tables are the same things that are going to apply to pages. So pages have properties. If you want to view the property of the page, you design it, and then you scroll to the first empty row down, yeah? Then you click on the properties section. So these are the properties of the page. I have the name, the caption multi language, which is ML. This is English United States. And then whether the page is editable, the description, permissions, the page type, and other things. So these are the properties of the page. So pages, like tables, have triggers. So yesterday, we defined a trigger. So if I click on the cal code here, these are some of the triggers. On init, which is on initialize the page, there are some fields that we are setting to be editable. Then we have on open page, we have some code there. Then we have on close page, you may want to write code when somebody closes the page. So you put that page or that code on the close page. Then even on the page, we have on new record. On the table, we had the on insert trigger. On the page, we also have the on new record, on insert record, on modify record, on delete record, on query close page. So all these are triggers. So as we start developing, we shall see how these triggers work. But what you should know, pages also have triggers. Now pages have what we call controls. Now these controls mainly define the layout of the page. For example, I have this control code, the general. When you were developing, you saw, rather when we are looking at the application, you saw what we called the FastTabs, okay? Now, on the customer card, I have the general FastTab, communication FastTab, and the invoicing FastTab and other FastTabs. So here, when you are designing a page, this is how they appear. I have the general, it is a control, okay? And the control must lie under a container, and the container, its name is called the content area. So when you are designing a page, a card page, you start with a container, which will be the content area. Then we create the groups, and these groups on the client will appear as the first. So controls also have properties. We said pages have properties. Controls also have properties. So if I click on this control called the general, I can click on the what? On the properties. So these are the properties of the control. I can decide to make the control uneditable. So if I make this control uneditable, all the fields that are within that control or that are within that group or that first tab will become uneditable. So these are the properties of controls. Then also under the controls we have fields. These are the ones that will display data on the page. So fields also have properties. So remember, fields on the table have properties. Even fields this side have properties. So I can click on the number and I then click on the properties to see the properties of the field. So there are some cases whereby one table can have maybe 5 pages accessed by different people based on the permission sets. So in such cases, you may decide that maybe a page accessed by user X should not be editable, but another page accessed by user Y should be editable. So you can turn off the editability of maybe a given field on a page using using these properties of the page. But if you want to turn, you can also use the properties of the table to turn maybe the editability of a given field to all the pages at once. I don't know whether you get me. On the tables, realize that tables have field properties, isn't it? And one of the field properties on a table is editable. Can you edit that field? So on the table, I can leave it to be editable, but here on the page, I can turn it to false, implying that if I have other pages that are using the same table, meaning that on some pages, this field can be editable, whereas on other pages, this field can be uneditable. So those are field properties. Now, maybe just to go back to the controls, we also said controls have properties. Controls also have triggers, but those triggers are on specific pages. We shall look at like the row center page, and we shall be in position to see the triggers that are on that row center page. Now, pages have what we call actions. If I go back to my application, pages, your license does not permit users. What's this now? Let me just upload my license here. I see it is already uploaded. So your license. Okay. I'll just restart this service. So pages have actions. Now, I know you know actions. You've looked at actions, those things on the ribbon up there. So if I come to the page and I design it, if I go to view and I say page actions, these are the actions that appear on the what? On the ribbon, okay? So you can say have dimensions on the customer card, I can attach default dimensions. So those are called page actions. So actions also have properties, okay? I can specify the properties of an action, and at the same time, actions have triggers. I can also write some code on a given what? Action. So actions have only one trigger, and that trigger is called on action. So this is what happens. You can write code to execute when somebody clicks that action. And that is, if you click here in the call code, you write your code in that area of the on action. Now there are cases whereby you may need to set the visibility of a page, or you may, for example, if I come to the name and I click OK, here under maybe under this property of editable, I can have a value of true, and if you see a value in what are those angle brackets? If you say value in angle brackets, that means that is the default value. Okay. So if I come here and I put false, it means that that name field on the page is not editable. So if I save and I go to my application, so if I save and I go to my application, I'll find that the name field is not editable. Okay, I don't know why it is taking long. The name field should not be editable. Okay, this is the name field. So if I try to edit, I don't know whether you can see very well, but this field is grayed out, yeah? I can't type in this field. It is not like these other ones. So I've made it uneditable. But there are cases whereby you may want a property of a field to depend on a given variable. For example, you may have a function that returns either true or false, and you may want to set this to something like is editable, okay? And this
Emmanuel.
Yes, please.
Emmanuel, I have a question.
Yes.
What's the difference between unenabled and uneditable?
Enabled. Okay, enabled. I may not have a clear difference right now, but but you just try it out. Yeah? Although I just think that enabled, the field may not be. The cursor may not default to that field. It may not. It will be visible, but you may not be in position to. The cursor may not focus on that field. It may be a field that is there, but not once if you are trying to enter data, that is a field that will be skipped. Although you just try it out. I rarely use this property.
Okay.
Yes, but most of the properties I use is editability and visibility. Although for the enabled part, the entire field is likely to be grayed out. Yeah, you won't have focus on that field.
Okay.
So we have now this property called editable. Now this property, I was saying that we know that it can either be true or what? True or false. But there are scenarios as a programmer where you may want this to be dynamic. Maybe if I'm registering maybe employees and somebody has kids, I want maybe a field where that field for entering kids now to be editable. If I say that somebody has no kids, then this field should be uneditable. So I can have a function that can return a Boolean in case somebody has kids, and in case that a function that can return true or false. So when I come here, I can set this to is editable. But if I set this to editable, now this is a variable that will be returned. So I can go to views under curl globals, and I create my what? My variable code is editable, which will be a Boolean. Okay, this variable will be this variable is a Boolean. Now under this variable, if I want to use it as a property, this is very important. If you want to use a variable as a property, you have to, on this variable, you have to click on the properties and you say include in data set. You turn this to yes. This only applies when you want to use a variable as a what? As a property. So if I say is editable and I've included that in I've included it in my data set under views, curl globals, then this is my variable, which is a Boolean. And here I've said include in what? In data set. So with that, if I come maybe on open page and I say is editable is equal to true. Let me start with false. Is equal to false. Then once I come back to my customers, and I edit my customer here, you can see this field is what? Is grayed out, okay? It is not editable. But now if I go back to my code and I say that editable is true, and I save this, then I come back here. Let me just go back one step. Then go to my customers and then edit this. You can now see my field is what? Is editable. But the editability is determined by a variable, okay? It is determined by a variable. So there are scenarios whereby you may want to set a property of a field, these properties, not necessarily the attribute, but any other property of a field basing on a value that is returned by a given function. So here I've not written a function, but this can be from a very long function that does something. So you can write code somewhere, and then you return this variable, then you set that variable as a parameter. So the key thing here is that this variable you must turn that property called include in data set. You must set it to what? To yes. If you don't do this, let us try that. Some of the challenges that some developers face is that they forget to, I've removed this, okay? Now, if I try to compile, it has compiled, but I'm setting this to true. I'm setting it to what? To true, meaning that it should be editable. If I come back to my application, and I edit this, okay, I don't know whether it has saved, but the important thing is that here, editable is equal to true. View cal globals. Okay, you try it out, but in case you realize that the property is not working, then you have to check this property code include in data set. So those are the properties of a field. So we have what we call bound and unbound pages. Bounding a page, it means that you are tying that page to a table, okay? There are pages that are tied to tables. For example, this customer card, who can tell us which table is it bound to? Customer table. How do I know that? I can go to the properties of the page, then click on these properties, and I see the source table is what? Customer. So it means that this table is being bound to the table. This page is being attached to a table called customer. There are also some tables that are not bound to a given table. For example, let me look at this budget page. Are you seeing this budget page? If I design it and I look at the properties, do we have a source table? We don't have a source table. If you remember very well, when you were looking at the budget, did you look at the budget? In the budget, there's that matrix page that appears. So now that matrix page is this page that you see here. It has no underlying table, okay? It is just getting these variables, So tables can reference variables. These are just variables that somebody selects from. So they are not stored in the table, because anytime as you edit your budget, you can put what you want there. So those values are not stored in the table. Now in the budgets, once you start now entering the values, the budgets are now stored in the table called I think GL budget entries. That's where the budget is stored. But that first form that you get, which is the budget, has no underlying table. You will understand this later on as we try out, but the concept here I want to bring out is that a table can be bound to another page, can be bound to a table, and also have unbound pages. Going back to our customer card, so we know that the customer card, we've seen that we have page actions, and these are the actions. We shall try out an example where we shall be designing a page. So there are so many types of pages. The first page is a card page, okay? And here the only thing I want to emphasize is the naming convention. So if you look at the customer card, here it is named what? Customer card. So when we are going to design our table of students, we are going to design a student card, okay? Then if you want to design a list, we name it student list. Here it is called customer list. So even as we shall call it student list. Now, so far we've seen two types of pages. The first one is a card page, and the second type is a list page. So we also have other pages. We have a document page. For example, when you're entering a sales order, the document page always has we have the headers and the lines. So that is a document page. So if you look at the sales order, we have the header section where you specify the buy to customer. Okay, now this is a document page. If I just scroll to the extreme bottom and I click on the properties, you can see that the page type is what? Document. So far we have a list page, a card page, a document page. So with the document page normally reads from it reads from more than one table. With the list page, you can read from one table. But with the document page, for example, this one, if I look at the properties, I can see it is reading from the sales header table, where the document type is an order, okay? These are properties of a page. You see, we have a sales header table, but this sales header table is going to store the sales orders, the sales invoices, the sales return orders, and other things, okay? So here, how do I limit my sales order to look at only order documents? In the sales header table, there's a document type called order. So here, when I'm setting the source table view, I put a property saying that where the document type is what? Is order. So somebody who wants to disorganize other people may put where document type is what? Invoice. So the sales orders will be now showing invoice documents, which is wrong. So I won't change that. I'll leave it to order. Now, as you know that a document type has headers and what? And lines. So you've seen that on the sales order, we have the headers, and then you also have a provision where somebody enters the lines, okay? Like which item are you buying, which GL account are you buying, and other things. So on the document type, on the document page, these fields are groups. Now, if we want to reference another page on a page, we use what we call a part. So here you can see we have a part, and that part is referencing a page, and that page, if I look at the properties of this part, I can see that this part is looking at another page called the sales order subform. It is looking at another page called the sales order subform. So if you remember very well yesterday, where I said that you can have an order and different lines. So the order up the document number up must relate to a document number down. So this is where that relationship is set. So it is set under the subpage link. That relationship is set under the subpage link. Then the page that we're referencing is the sales order subform. So in most cases, once you have a document page, you must also have a subform, okay? You must also have a subform for that page. So that is the document page. Other pages that we have, Okay, I will talk about other pages later on. So we are going to proceed with our example yesterday. So we had students. Now, I think I'm one of the people who didn't finish this exercise. You can just tell me which other field did we have so that I can do this exercise very fast. We do have last name? It was a text 50. We had middle name, text 50. We had this was decimal. Then we had customer number. This was a code 20. We had customer name. This was text 50. Is that all? We also had balance. This was, so those are the, you cannot delete before. Oh, I've changed the property. You know, this was number 3, and I had values there. So that's why it is complaining. Oh, file save as. I'm replacing my statistics table. So let me delete this other one. It is not possible to delete this if there are records. Data record. Super wasting my time. I want to delete something. They're telling that I first delete records. Why is it not running? I wanted to delete the records, and I change. I want this to be my 50,001. Okay. So we shall look at reports later on. Let me say on after get record, delete, so that I forcefully delete these. I think tomorrow I should also install 2018. Yeah? Okay, this is really taking long. Okay, so I've just, this is my report. I want you to delete the records. Okay, I don't know why this is not running, but I didn't want to go into the menu sort right now, but I want to pin my, okay, I don't even have a page. So I wanted to run this and delete.
So a report object can have the same ID as a page object?
Yes, because they are different types.
What if you press all? What happens?
They
How
will
do
still
they
appear.
display them?
They will still appear because here we have they have different types.
Oh.
I can, let me just do a toggle map here, then even on the report, I can do a toggle mark. Where was that? Toggle mark. Then I view marked only. So this is a page, this is a report. They can have the same ID. Show all. So I don't know why my thing takes long to. So this report should delete all the students for me. If I click preview, it is just deleting. It's not doing anything much. Then I can now get rid of this report. It has finished its work. If I now go to the tables, I don't expect a record there, and I should be in position to delete it. So here I can go make it that this is student, yes. Okay. Now, if I run again, my page, rather my table, this is the student table. Cannot find, yeah, what has happened. So let me, here in the customer number, the properties, we said we are looking at table relation, isn't it? We are looking at customer, okay. And we are only looking at the number field in that customer. I can say that I want only customers that are not blocked. So here in the table filter, I can still go there and I send the customer table where blocked is what? Okay, I have ship, invoice, all. Okay, so here the concept is that even as if you're filtering out the relationship, you can also set what? Filters on that relationship. For example, I may say I want to see only customers with a balance. So I can look for the balance field and I say where a balance is a filter and my filter is greater than what? Or it is not equal to 0, meaning that customers with a what? With a balance will appear in my drop down. And then here in the customer name, we said it is a what? It is a flow field, isn't it? And what is it doing? It is looking up which table, customer, which field? Oh, looking up customer, which field? Name. Where our number in the customer table. Are you seeing this is the customer table? Are you seeing up here? Where our number, this is customer, though the lamp is, but this is customer. Where number is the same as a field in my table of students. This is the student table. Where number is the same as the customer number you put there. Then I press OK. So that is my lookup. So if I run my table again, let me just close this. Okay, this is my table. So I can have student 001. This is Emmanuel. Last name is Magova. Score I can put. Now here, if I click on the customer, that this is the customer, I expect this to come automatically. Okay, did it happen on your side? Yes. Now, what we are going to look at is that we are going to look at pages. Now, there are scenarios whereby you're not going to send an object to the client and tell them that once you import, run this table and you enter the values, isn't it? You're not going to do that. So after designing your table, you must design a what? A page. So you're going to start by designing a list page. So I'll come here under pages, I create new. So there are two ways of designing a page. You can design using a wizard and you can also design manually. So if I click on new, there are two options, create a blank page and create a page using a wizard. So you must look up that table you want, but you already know the ID, so I can just put the ID there, okay? Then which type of page do I want to design? A list. I can create a blank page or I can use a wizard. So the wizard will take you through the processes. So you try out the blank page format, but for me, in most cases, I normally use the wizard because I'm too lazy to go through everything. So here, I click on the list and I click OK. So if I click OK, it will tell me which fields do you want, which fields from the table student do you want on your page. I want the number, the first name, the last name, the middle name, the score. I want almost everything. So I can even just click this to add everything. If you want to remove some, you can click this. If you want to remove all, you can take them back there. So I've added all the fields, okay? Then I click what? Next. Now, if I go to my customer list, are you seeing that customers, they have first what? FastTabs, they also have this option of adding links. They also have this option of adding what? Notes. So how do we do that? So these are called list parts. That is also another type of page. Another type of page is called a list part. We shall see how you can design a list part. So these are the available list parts. So right now I want to add system generated list parts, and I'm going to add the notes section and maybe the record links. Okay, these others I'm going to leave them. I've added only system notes and system record links. So if I click finish, now the system has created for me the page. Are you seeing that? This is the page. Remember, it starts with content area. If it is a list page, it goes with the second group will be a repeater. Okay, if it is a list page, then after the content area, the second thing will be a repeater. Then I have another container, which is now a fact box. I know when you're looking at the application, you know what fact boxes are. So if I'm doing it manually, I have to come here and I select what? Container, then here I select fact box. But if I'm using the wizard, the system generates that for you. So this is now my page. I'm going to save it. I can give it the same ID. And then student list. So that is the page. So if I save it, I can now go to my page, 50,000, and then run this. Let me first close this. This is my student list. I'm running it. And now, do you see the difference here? This now is a list page. We have a provision for adding notes. This student has not paid school fees since March 2020. I can save my notes there, okay? So if I enter another student, new, this is student 002. Student 2 has no notes, okay? This is Mark, maybe Mubiru. Then I can also add notes. I can also add links. So that's how easy you can create a page. Yes. 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 The page is just for viewing information, yeah? But the information is stored in the table, so it automatically populates the table. So this page is like a form for somebody to enter data. So all this information, if I run the table, that information should be, I don't know why I need to first close this in order to run. So that information will be in the what? In the table. And all the validations that you created on the page, that on the table will happen also on the page automatically. So remember on the table we said that the name comes automatically. So it also happens here. Now, why should I create a table and a page, what is the essence? Now, the reason why we've created a page is that we can now pin our page on the menu suite. Remember when we talked about the menu suite? If I run this again, so this is the student list. So when I'm sending objects to the client, I won't still tell them that you run this page and you enter the information. The client should be in position to access my student details here. So at the end of this demo, we are going to design a full module for student management. Okay, we shall build it slowly by slowly. So these are the modules that we have. So we are going to create a new module here in this department section. And I told you that this once you want to pin a page in the client, you use what we call a menu suite. Okay, so we shall come to our menu suite here, and then we shall create a new menu suite. What you should know that you cannot modify this standard menu suite. Yeah, you cannot modify the standard menu suite. So what you do, you create a new one, and you select the department company. This is a company. This means it is per company. So you select the first one and you press OK. So as you can see now, right now I'm in the department company menu suite that I'm created. So everything comes here, and these are the application areas that I have here. Okay, finance management and others. For example, if I click on finance management, you see I have general ledger, cash management, blah, 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 and so on. So these are the ones that you see here. Okay, so I'm going to create a new what? I'm going to create a new menu, and I'm going to call it student. So here there is financial management, sales and marketing. I think I can call it student management. Okay, you get it? I can call it student management. Now here, if you look at the menu suite, each menu suite has images, okay? How do I get these images? Now, Nav has this ID, so I can put an ID here. For example, if I put 10, it will automatically get for me, this is the image that is corresponding to ID 10. If it is not looking good, I can click on properties, then may put ID 9. Is this like a student management? No, I can put maybe 8. Okay, I can go with this for student management. Okay, are you seeing this? Now, if I go back to finance management, because I'm benchmarking from this, I have general ledger, cash management, and so on. So if I go back to student management, I can come here and I create a group within what? Student management. And I call this maybe student registration. Under student registration, I click the drop down and I now create. And now this is the function of creating a page. Here you cannot look up a table, okay? Because tables store information, but pages are used to edit, modify, and that was the essence of creating a what? A page, so that I can come here, click on page, then I put my page ID. Now, if I go back to this and I look at maybe sales, a page in the developer was called customer list, but here in the display it is called customers. So what should I put here? I should put students, okay? And then this will be under lists. If I go back to my developer, you say I have lists tasks, okay? Reporting and analysis. So if I come here and I say this should be under tasks, then my list pages will go under the what? Under tasks, but I want them to be under lists. then I press OK. Then I right click here and I close the navigation pane. Then to tell me, do you want to save? I click yes. So I've saved my menu suite. So the next time when I want to add more fields in the menu suite, I don't again create a new menu suite. I'll just design what? I'll just design this one, go to the student and now add more what? More pages. So that is my student menu suite. So if I close this application and I sign in again, we expect to have a new application area called what? Student what? Management. And I have a group called student registration. So if I click on this, so if I have what? Lists. And if I click list, I have now my what? Within a few the search and everything, the delete, do the implement the delete function, all those come up as a default. So you can search. If I want to search for, are you talking about this search? Yes, if I come and I search for students, I don't know the spelling. You see, I can see now it is also, but this is not a standard feature. We've just customized it. So one of the advantages of Nav, what makes Nav better than other ERPs is that Nav can be easily customized. So once you go to the other side, you find that we meet clients, they tell us their requirements. Then we sit down, we come up with flow charts and other things, how the processes are going to go. Then after coming up with that, now we sit down and we start designing solutions. For example, now we are going to design a solution for a school. We shall just come up with it. So right now we can register students from here. Now, if I come here and I click new, the new page is coming with a list. But if I go to my customers, if I go to my customers and I click, you see this customer list is not editable. If I click new, it is opening another what? Another page, which is a card page. So how do we achieve this? By the way, this process, I think this one is not documented yet anywhere in the PDFs I'm going to give you of adding a page to a menu suite. I hope you've grasped it, yeah? Because you are going to try this by yourself. When I've left this room. So maybe just to go back one more time, you go to menu suites. For the first time, you click new. But given that I've already, once you click new, you select the company one and you press OK. Now, these ones may not be supported by the license. These other menu suites. So you may select this. Then once you view, you don't see it will go very well. But once you run the application, you won't see your application area. It may not appear. So here you select company, and then it will come here. Now, given that I already have it, I'll design. Then these are the menus. I can click on any menu, then create a new menu. I've already created one. Once you create the new menu, you give it a name and an ID. Here you try IDs, I think from 1 up to, I don't know, up to 15, up to 20. I try 16. 16, so up to 15, yeah? So from 1 up to 15, you can get good images to assign your what? You had used 8. Then after this will become empty. You come here, you create a group. My group was student management. Then you expand the group, and then you add a new item. Then you look up the page that you've created. So Then after that, you right click here and you say close navigation pane, then to tell you, do you want to save? Then you save. After saving, your menu suite will be now available here under departments. I now have an application here. So if I'm sending the solution to a client, I also send the menu suite object. This new menu suite that I've what? That I've added. Because if I don't send this, then the client won't see the changes on the row center. And another advantage of Nav is that although this looks like a Windows client, you don't need to recompile the entire solution. If you're designing an application in C# and you add a small field or small variable, you have to build the entire solution, compile the entire solution, and probably deploy another version of the entire solution, isn't it? But for now, you only send what you've modified. So by the end of tomorrow, I want all of you to have something like this on your menu suite, whereby I can register a new student. So in most cases, when most of the cases, if I have a list, I don't want this list to be what? To be editable. I want information to be edited through a what? Through a card. So I will come here in my pages. I'm going to create a card. So I will call it, I will come, click new. My table is still what? 50,001. Okay, yeah, that is the table. I will use a wizard. If you want, you can use a blank page and you add them manually. Then this will be a card. Press OK. Then how many FastTabs should we put? Let us put two. We have general and communication. Communication, that's why we shall put phone details and other things. So these are the FastTabs that I want. General and what? Communication. You can add as many as you want. So click next. In the general I want number, first name. Okay, let me add everything in general because I don't have communication details. Then if I had, okay, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add, in the communication, I'm going to add the customer number and the what? You see how I've switched tabs? Once in the previous stage, once you enter, all the tabs will appear here, and here you can switch them and you assign fields to those tabs. Then click next. I also want to add notes and links. Then I also want to add these parts, but these parts I think it will be an assignment for you, whereby if I want to look at customer sales, let me add that under customer sales. Okay, then I finish. So I can order this by clicking on this and I move it up. Okay, seeing how it is moving up. Then I save this. Which ID should we give this? Did we use one for pages? We've not. Then this will be customer. Oh, student card. Student card. Then I press OK. So I've developed my student what? Card. It is good practice to always put a version, yeah? But even if you don't put, there is no problem. So if I run my student card, I need to first close this. If I run my student card, this is how the card will look like. Okay. This is how the card will look like. So here in the balances, I'm getting weird things, but we shall rectify that later on. So this is my student card, but I want the client to access the card by clicking new. Once they click new, I want the card to come here. So how do I achieve that? Oh, when somebody clicks edit, I want the card to appear, not the list. So to achieve that, I go back to my list and I set what we call properties. So if I come here to the properties and I click on this property, I have a property called card page ID. So I go to the list and I set a card page ID, and this card page ID, which card page ID should I put here? And that is the student card, isn't it? So I've set my card page ID there. And now, given that I'm going to access this record through a card, I don't want my this to be editable. So I will turn the editability of this to what? Because I want all the editability to come through the card. So if you don't know the card ID, you can also type the name. It will still allow. For example, I was a student what? So it will still, if you don't know the ID of head, you can simply type the name. So right now, if I come back here and I open my application again, so if I go to student registration, okay, and I click on students, I'm seeing these icons. I have new, it is popping up my what? My card, and I can now type the student record already exists. This is 3. I'll call this John. Then I'll come and I say John is that customer, and I expect the name to come automatically. It will come, although I think it requires me to first refresh the page, but the name should come automatically based on the flow. Okay, so that is the student card. So here, maybe I'll just delete this first tab. Yeah, we shall look at that later on. I'll just delete this customer sales. But what I wanted to show you is that if I click on the properties and I look at which pages I can have, for example, let me use customer statistics. Anyway, we shall look at this later on. Let me delete it for now. So the good thing with Nav is that these actions, new, edit, and refresh, these ones come automatically. The moment you create a new what? A new page. So I can delete here. And that has gone. But I've not implemented the delete from, that query. Delete from customer where number is equal to blah, blah, blah. So those basic things you don't need to do here. The solution comes with those things. I'll show you what you can program, but those basic ones are now caters for them. So that's how we create a list page, a card page. So we are going to come up with another scenario whereby this student, I have only one score here, but this student, we can have like 3 subjects, okay? So how will I put all the 3 subjects in one column? Is that possible? All the 3 subject results in one column. Should I put here math, physics, chemistry, so that we can have different columns for score? Why? Yes, it's better if you put them on the line, because next time the client will say that now we have another subject. maybe entrepreneurship, would you go back to the system and then also add that field? So that will be a poor approach. Although you may find developers doing that, but I don't want you to do that. Yeah? At times when you get a requirement from a client, you have to look at scalability. If I give him this solution and they want to introduce in a new feature, will I need to go back to the developer and edit, or the system will automatically look at that? So Gilbert's answer of adding lines here, whereby we can have now courses and their scores, would be the best ones, the best option. So let us do that. So this is my student card. So I'm going to create a new table. This table, I'm going to have number, which is called 20. Student number, this is the primary key. Then it will look at the student number. This is also code 20. And here I should be looking at which table? Student. So I can come here and I say I'm looking at my table student, and I'm looking at a field code number. Okay, so it will come there. Then I can put here first name. This is text, or I can just put full names, because here we are going to now see how we can get the first name, last name, all of them at once and put them there. Okay, so this one I can make it a little bit bigger. That will be my, I can also say total max decimal. So this will be, I'll name this, which ID have we missed? We didn't use one? Okay, so I'll call this. So this table will be storing scores. By the way, you're going to try out these, yeah? So you take note of the tools. You will try them out. And I'll also tell you to include more fields. Me, I'm just keeping things simple. So this is the score header. Okay. Then I'm also going to create a new page. Now this will be the lines, yeah? So if I come back to my score header, I have my primary key code number. So if I come back here and I create a new table, I'm going to start with document number, which is a code 20. But this document number will be the same as number in the header. Then here I'll put another one called line number. Now this will be the unique identifier. Okay, it will be integer. So meaning that these two must be what? Yes. So let me first save this. Which ID should we use? And we call this, the other one was score header. This we shall call it score line. Then here I can put subject number. This will be called 20. And then subject name. This will be text. Then here I have max out of in percentage. Then this will be decimal. Now, in the exercise I want you to do, I want you to create a table called students, rather called subjects, and then you will ensure that this is a drop down in the subject table. And then I also want you to ensure that this name automatically comes once I select a subject. So you create another table called subjects, and that table should have only two fields, the number and the name, okay? And once you select on the number, the name should come automatically here. So that table, that one I'm not going to create, yeah? You create, which keeps track of the subjects. Yes, for subjects. You create another table for subjects, and you create a list page. You only create a list page for that subjects table. You pin that list page on the menu sort. Yeah, I want it to appear, I think for subjects it will be good if we make it appear under, and we have administration and setup, because it is like a setup. Yeah, each time. Okay, you will put it anywhere, but I prefer if you can see administration and setup, that's where I prefer it. Yeah? But even if you put it in the list, there is no problem. So you create a table called subject, and that table must have number and name. That table subject must only have a list page. I don't need a card page for subject. You only create a list page. Information will be entered via that list page, and you pin that list page on the menu suite. Okay, so this is my score line. I save this. I have my header and my line. So if I want to create a page that has headers and line, which type of page do I create? Should be a document page, okay? It should be a document page. But before I create a document page, I'm going to first create a list page which will show me all the scores. Yes, in the line. So I'll come here in the pages. I'll call it 50,002. This will look from the student, from the score header. I'm using a wizard. This will be a list, okay? I'll add all the fields. I finish this. I save this as 50,000 what? Have we used 2? I'll call these are the scores or scores. So this is my what? Okay, because in the header, we shall have a student like Gilbert. Now in the lines, we can have your scores like 5 times basing on the subject. So I don't want the 5 lines to appear on the list. I want only your name to appear on the list, but if I edit it, I now want to see the details. Now the header will just summarize, then the lines will have now the breakdown of the subjects. So that's why we prefer to have this under the list. So I'm also going to pin this on the menu suite. So I will design this, go here under students, create item, put that page, scores, put it under list, press OK. Save this. And now if I just try to close this and open it again, and I go to my student registration, let me just pick it. So if I click on scores, I can see now I have this list. If I click on new, I don't want to enter from here. I want to have a document page. So the next thing is to design a document page. So I'll go back to my pages, click new. It's going to be 50,003. Click new. We are looking from the scores table, that's the score header. I'm using a wizard. Then here I look for what? Document, okay? I look for the document. So in the document, I have the general and the what? And the line section. General and lines in the document page. Then I click next. I'll add all the fields. In the lines, I have nothing to add. We shall look at that later. Then click next. I'm not going to add other things. Then I save this. I save it as what? And this, I'll just call it score. Then save this. Now, when somebody clicks new, I need this page to appear. So remember very well, if I go back to my list here, which is called scores, I can design it. And then I make my third page ID to be the score page. I can simply type here score. So if I go back to the application, and I just, each time you make changes to the application, you may be required to sign in and sign in again, sign out and sign in again. So if I go to my scores, right now I see this is now through the card. Now, I don't want this page to be editable. So I'm going to turn off the editability, okay? Because I want all edits. I don't want somebody to edit the list. I want all edits to come through this document page. So, meaning that I will come here to scores, then go to the properties, editability, turn it to what? To no. So if I go back and I click on the scores, I don't have that edit what? Edit list. Now, this, I have my, this, but I don't have the lines. I don't have now. The next stage is to add the lines. So which document do you know that has head and lines? You can look at the sales order document. So if I go to sales order document, on the sales order document, you can see that I have a part called a page. And if I click on the properties, there's a page part ID, which is sales order sub form, meaning that we have to create a new page. If I come here and I search for sales order sub form, it is this one that is referencing. If I design this, this is now the page that has the sub form that is displayed on the document. So meaning that even in for us in the scores, we must create a sub form called the score. Yes, the score sub form. And if I go back to the sales order sub form, you realize that this sales order sub form is referencing the sales header or the sales line. Who can guess? It is referencing the what? The sales what? The sales line. So if I go back this side under my pages and I click and I create a new page. Okay, the naming convention, the other one was sales order sub form. So here I'll come, I'm going to call it 50,004. I'll come and should be score one line is the table, isn't it? Then it should be a list part. I don't know whether you saw that. It should be a list part. Then for now, I'm going to add all these fields, but I don't. The document number and line number should be hidden because they are primary keys. Yeah? So if I for now, but I'm going to first add this, then finish, then save this. Which ID should we use?
554.
This is the score sub form. Yeah? So it is really good practice to use these naming conventions, because they are the same naming conventions that Microsoft is using. And even if your work is being reviewed by another developer, they don't get confused. Now imagine if I call this the score card. Of course it will work. But somebody who's just viewing your tables, pages, will get confused because they will be expecting something different. So if I call this the score sub form, okay.
Hello.
Excuse me, Emma. Your microphone is muted.
My microphone is muted. Hello. Can you hear me now?
Now we get you.
Yeah. No, we can.
So this is how I look like. I know there's someone who has not seen me.
I saw you already.
Hope I'm directly proportional to my voice. Some clients tell me that I'm inversely proportional. The voice does not match the person.
It's okay.
So in case you've been wondering how I look like, that's me.
Good to know you already.
Hey, okay. So I'll turn off the video.
Okay.
And we shall proceed. Now, I was saying that it's always good practice to put such features. They make your solution easy to use. So I've put that. Then later on, I will show you this full name. I don't want it to only bring the first name. I want it only to bring the what? The full name. So tomorrow we shall be starting the programming, the car programming. But for now, we said that fields have triggers, isn't it? And now, which trigger do you expect this field to have? The unvalidated student number, isn't it? So I can go to the table, design it, then I go to unvalidated, not this table, it should be the score header. Then on this student number table, this is the unvalidated. I want the full name to come automatically. So here I can say if the student number has changed, so if a variable has space, we normally reference it using double quotations. So if student number has changed, so there is this X-rec means it is the previous record. So if I write something like this, it means that if the student number has changed, okay? That statement that I've written means that if the student number has changed, in other words, if the current record is not the same as the previous record, this I can write here, given that I'm in this record, there is no need, I can write if rec.student number is not, but I'm already in this record, so I don't need to put that, yeah? So if student number is not the same as the previous student number, in other words, if somebody has changed that field of student number, do the following. Now, if the student number is not equal to blank, if the student number is not equal to what? To blank, then begin, then end. Else, if the student number is blank, begin. I know in the interview you had this begin else, isn't it? And you passed all of them. So this shouldn't be hard. So here I'm saying if student number, the first statement, if student number has not changed, then the second one, but you're also going to write this code, but try to understand, yeah? It will be easier. So here I'm saying if student number is not equal to blank, I will do something. If it is equal to blank, then I will clear the full name. So I'll just type clear my full name field. In other words, if I don't have a student number, ensure that this field is what? Is cleared. But if I have a student number, I'm going to declare a variable here. So I'll go to cal globals, cal globals. I'm going to declare a variable called student, okay? And I'll call it student. This is a variable, and it is a record called student. Don't worry, if you don't understand this, we shall get into details of this. So we have functions. I'll go to the student and I get, what is the primary key of the student? Is the number. So I'll get the number field, and that number field right now is stored in the student number in this scores table. I'm in the scores header table. So in the student table, I'm getting the value that I'm storing in this field. Then after getting that value, I'll just say that my full name field is now equal to my student record, which is a variable. First name, I put some space, I add the what? The middle name, I put some space, I add the last name in that order. So that's how I'll get the full name in the code. So we shouldn't worry about this. We shall have a scenario where we shall dig into the current code. Yeah? Where we shall dig into the current code. But in case this looks to be easy for you, I don't know, is it complex? This is like select star from student, where the student number is equal to this student number that you put here. So this is like a select query where I'm selecting a particular student in this variable called student that I declare. This is a student record, and I'm getting that student record. I'm getting only the student number, which I've stored in this field. I don't think this is a spelling. Is that the spelling of student? I don't know where it appears. But we shall look at these functions later on. But this is a select star from students where number is equal to student number. So that is this statement that you see is that. Yes, I store it in the student variable. This student variable is retrieving only one record, so it's already stored here. And now here, what I'm doing is in my full name, I'm now getting the variable student.first name. Then that is just retrieve that student. Okay, I don't want to dig into this right now. We shall have a section for that, yeah. But I was just showing you that now here, the other property of lookup may not work because it looks up only one field. So there are scenarios whereby you may need to write code. If I come back here and I look at scores, if I turn this to blank, this will clear. If I select that, I think that if I delete it, it also deletes. If I select it, but I'll put my code on validate. So, and if it is not blank, if it is blank, it works. It also clears the other thing. So there are some programmers who normally forget to clear. If it is blank, then the other previous thing remains there. You save a blank student number with a full name here. Okay. Now let us look at the subjects here. So if I come here, we shall have a subject table where we shall have our subjects. So let me say this is subject 001, and this is math. This guy is good at math. He can top up. So if I go to subject 002, now I think I already have problems. My primary key here is not what? I wanted to get this document number down and put it here. How do I do that? I don't need to write code there. So if I go to my pages and I go to this document page, which is the score page, I design it. Now here under the page part, I come here and I say that the sub-page link. The what? The sub-page link, because I'm linking to a header page. So here under the sub-page link, I come here, I say, I'm in the score line. I'm getting the document what? And that document number should be filled in which table? In the score header table, isn't it? And that is stored as what? As number. So this property alone will update the what? That property alone. If I come back here and I edit this, I see I don't need to populate this. So if I put subject 001, the moment I go to the next, I'm saying that because, but if I try to put 002, I'm also going to get a what? An error, because these are still the same. So I need to introduce in the what? The line number as a primary key. So the first thing is that if I go back to my table of score line, I need to set keys. So under the keys, I need to include, one problem that people make is that they add a key here. So that will make it a secondary key. But I want to add on top of this. So I'll come here, then come here and I add what? My line what? My line number. Okay, so now my line number is there, is now part of the what? Of the key. So another thing on the page is that I want this key to increment by 10,000 automatically. So here on the score sub form, under the properties, here on the, if I come back to my application, which meeting is this? I have another meeting in 10 minutes. Okay. Now, if I come back to, by the way, are we still following? All the things are too many.
You're following.
Okay, great. I will see from the assignment. So there is a session that is locking. My license only supports one user at a time. So there is a session that is blocking. So I'll just restart this service. But as I restart, I want the system to automatically increment the line numbers. I don't want to, I can write code that does that, but why should I write code when there is a property that can do that? So that property, we set it on the sub form, okay? On the sub what? On the sub form. So if I design this and I go to this property, there's what we call the auto split key. The auto split what? The auto split key. So if I set this to yes, the system will automatically split for me the keys. But this is only applicable if your score line that is being consumed by the sub form has an integer as the last field in the composite key. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? The auto split property only works if you have the source table of this sub form. In our case, it is the score line. This source table must have an integer as the last field in the primary key. Remember, if I come back to my table, this is very important. I know you will face challenges. You set to auto split and the thing will not split. I'm saying this is the last field of my primary key, okay? And this field must be an integer. I'm calling it line number. You can name it anything, but the most important thing should be line number. If you call it code, the system will tell you it cannot auto split the key. It will give you funny errors. So it is a must the last field in the primary key must be what? An integer. Is it now clear? Yes. Okay, so if I open now my developer again, and I go to tables, rather to scores. Now, if I edit this, let me first delete this first line, yeah? So I'm saying that this 10,000 is automatically coming, okay? If I go to the next record and I enter subject, I see it is not complaining. Okay, the reason why it has 10,000 is because there are some cases whereby a user may want to insert a new record in between, okay? So if you have are you seeing how the system is splitting that? It is just to allow for unallow. You don't know how many records somebody can insert in between. Now, if we had 1, 2, 3, 4, that means if somebody right-clicks and they want to insert now a record in between, it won't be in position to do what? So the reason why it has 10,000 is that it has a big allowance for someone. So as you see it divide, it auto splits the key automatically. That format of auto split is the one that does that. Now, if I go and I create another scorecard, scorecard 002 for another student, Mark. Again, I started with 10,000 because this is still unique, because now this is another different what? Document number, okay? Now these fields, I just added them just for demonstration purposes. But when you are developing, when you look at the sales order, you don't see this, isn't it? So, in other words, I will go back here on my page, given that when you are developing, you can add them. Now, after you verify that everything is working very well, you can now, I can press F4 to delete them. Okay, I don't need them because I verified that things are now okay. So that now the end user, for them, they don't know what happens behind the scene. Yeah? They just come here entering things, but for you as a programmer, you know what you've done. So this is the auto split key. So tomorrow morning, actually not tomorrow morning, because I won't have time to do your work. Today evening, I need you to come up with something like this. I want to see the first name here. You can write this. I don't know which property you set, but once I select this, I want this full name, yeah, to appear here. You know that property? That is the data caption. What's data caption? Yes, it had a caption somewhere. I don't know, we set it on the table. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I want also to have that caption here. I want to be in position to select a subject. I don't want to enter a subject from a drop down. I want a list for subjects. I want to be in position to select a subject. I don't know whether you can achieve this program I don't know whether you can do this. You can write code that can do this, but in case you can try it out. In case you can't, you can use the flow field, yeah, so that we only get, for it to only return the first name, yeah. So you can only use the flow field. Even here, you can only use the flow fields to get the subject name. I don't want a user to enter subject name. I want it to come from the subject table down. All I need is I want to have now marks here, okay? And as I enter my marks, I want now here to have the total marks. I don't know how we will do that. As I enter my marks here, I want to have total marks here up, okay? Then I also want you to add the average mark here up on this table. I want you to show me the average mark. Do we have the count flow field? But how shall we have, we have the average, isn't it? We can use the average under flow, the calculation groups. We have average. Yes, so we don't need, we shall use that. I also want to find the average mark here. So that is the assignment for today. Then also, I don't know whether I'm giving you a lot of work, but there are some demos in chapter 3. I want you to read other types of pages. You just read about them, but as we develop, we shall also explore them. You have like the journals, that are the worksheet pages, and you also understand the naming conventions of those pages. Then in chapter 3 of the book, page 33, there is a demo that I want you to try out. Okay? Now for the objects, you only send me this assignment that I've given you. For these demos, just practice out, yeah? Just practice just to get confidence on how things. So I want you to try demo, the demo that is on page 33. Then you also try out the demo that is on page 19. I want you to read on what we call fixed layout, and fixed layout. And demo page 19 will show you how to design a fixed layout. So that one I will need all of you to try that out so that I can see. So tomorrow I will start by seeing what you've designed in chapter 3, the third PDF. Then finally, I want you to create lab 3.1, lab 3.1, and lab 3.2. They are all in chapter 3. So today we are reading, I'm assuming that you finished the first 2 PDFs. So today we are reading this PDF that has 60 pages. Okay, most of them are pictures, yeah, isn't it? So in real case, they are like how many? Like 40 pages, isn't it? Because now like this picture, you're not going to read it. You just see and then scroll. Most of them are pictures. So I want you to read this PDF and understand it. Let me see whether we can try out some queries. Although, how does Microsoft Dynamics Nav 2013 client, how does Microsoft Dynamics Nav 2013 client for Windows show action? Where are actions shown? Up there on the top, how do you call that? Is it a ribbon? I expect the answer to be a ribbon. Which of the following elements do not have triggers? Do we have triggers on pages? Do we have triggers on ribbons? I don't think. Controls have triggers, actions have triggers. I don't think we have a trigger. We don't have on insert ribbon, but we have on open page. Then on actions, we had on action. Then controls, I don't know the naming convention very well, but I'll check. But even controls have triggers. Which of the following types is not a valid page? Okay, that one you can only answer after reading all the pages. Which page type do you use to enable users to enter information in a wizard-like interface? This one you will read documentation, answer it. What page enables, that one you also read. You can define actions at page level only. You can define actions, view page actions. Do you remember that when I said view page actions? But you can also have actions, I think, elsewhere. But to answer this, we will read the demo. So we got ribbon, and I think we also got Which other question did we answer? Only ribbon. So you read through this, then you try out the demos, the labs, and then the exercise. I don't know how you're going to do. I don't know whether you first read, then you do the assignment, or you first do the assignment when the knowledge is still fresh, then you read. I don't know. I don't know which method you're going to use, but please ensure that at least you send me the exercise, yeah? The exercise very well. I don't know whether you're going to do it as a group or I don't know, whichever way works for you. So tomorrow, we shall now be starting curl functions. We shall be looking at curl code, introduction to curl programming, and then we shall also look at this, assignments and expressions. These are for, so tomorrow I want us to cover these 2 PDFs. I don't know whether we shall finish this week. Okay, so I'm late for the next meeting. But just ensure that you read and try out. As I told you, the best teacher is yourself. Nobody is going to teach you better than you. Just think of a scenario, then you say, okay, now this. All right, people online, have a nice day and see you tomorrow.
See you.
See you.
Sorry? This one, eh? What's going on? Okay, let me just because welcome. Does not close. Oh,
You just tap join. Join.
mm.